Good morning. This is the second part of our semester 2 revision, and it's mainly focusing on the structure and function of the hair. Of course, what you see to the right is an electron microscopic picture of the hairs and the hair follicles. The part of the hair that can be seen above the surface of the skin is the hair shaft. So what is the hair shaft? It is the part of the hair that lies or that can be seen above the surface of the skin. And here we have a section in the epidermis and in the dermis. So here is the epidermis, the uppermost red part is the epidermis, but most of the picture shows the dermis. And in the dermis, you can see part of the hair, which is the hair root. And finally, you can see the lowermost swollen part of the hair, which is the hair bulb. So how can we define the hair root, the one I'm pointing at now? The hair root is the part of the hair that connects the hair shaft above to the hair bulb below. Of course, you don't see the hair bulbs of all the hairs here, and you can't see the hair roots of all the hairs, because we have an oblique section in the dermis. So some hairs show the hair bulb, whereas other hairs show the hair root. Now, what is the hair shaft made of? The hair shaft is made of dead keratinized cells. Of course, as you know, the process of keratinization starts in the lowermost part of the hair. And then as we go upwards, keratinization increases because we get farther from the blood supply. So if I ever ask you, justify the hair shaft is more keratinized than the hair root, you will say because the hair shaft is farther from the blood supply than the hair root. Why? Because the blood supply originates mainly in the dermis, the site where you can see the blood capillaries and arteries and veins is the dermis. So the farther upward you go from the dermis, the lower the supply with oxygen and nutrient, the more the keratinization that occurs. And it's a good opportunity to review what keratinization is. Keratinization is a process that occurs in cells as they go farther from the blood supply in the dermis and as they get older. And this process involves accumulation of keratin in the cell, but it's not a physiological or a useful accumulation of keratin, because you know that keratin is a useful substance. It gives waterproofness and toughness to the cells because it's a tough waterproof protein. But if keratin accumulates excessively, it exceeds the physiological limits, it would suffocate the cell, it would suffocate the organelles, and it would lead to death of the cells. In the diagram to the left, this is we can see a light microscopic stained specimen of the epidermis and the dermis. Of course, and we can see the lowermost part, which is the hypodermis. Why do I say epidermis? Because I can see this thickness above, the red thickness, which is the epidermis. And then we all know that the hair follicle extends below, lower down until it reaches the dermis. And underneath the dermis, we have the hypodermis. And it is worth noting that the hypodermis is not a part